Well, hi everyone, and welcome to this next episode of the Microsolidarity podcast. And today I'm having a chat with Kathrin. And Kathrin, we met each other because you joined the crewing program recently from the Microsolidarity network. But it was also nice to hear that you found the network through a friend of mine, Miriam, who also helped to co-host the summer camp. So you're sort of like arriving as more the Spain contingent, if that resonates with you. Yeah, and I wanted to talk to you because I want to talk with Kathrin because I saw you just put a post in the new Microsolidarity Telegram channel that you're running not a co-living but a community experiment for a month in Andalusia, which happens to be also where I am at the moment. And I'm running also a co-living experiment. Well, I guess I call this more of we call it a guest house for peer support. And there's a YouTube video about this, the incubator, also on the network channel. So I won't go super deep into that, but there was definitely some overlap of, hey, we're both doing some kind of like residential experiment here. And I thought, hey, let's chat and see what we have in common, and maybe you can share some notes. So yeah, I'd be curious just to ask you a few questions, and then just really glad that you're here. Yeah. Do you want to start by introducing yourself? And yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Jocelyn. I think you gave a very good wrap up of how we basically landed here today. And so as you said, I'm Kathrin. I'm originally from Germany. Spent the last few years a lot of time in Spain, but also traveling around and exploring a lot this idea of community living in different kinds of concepts and shapes and forms, staying in co-livings and communities, pop-up communities, and however you want to name them. And generally, I'm also very, very passionate about education, about connection, about facilitation as well. So that's also what I'm doing a lot in general in my work. So yeah, now this project you mentioned is kind of like a first experimentation space connecting these kind of topics.
Beautiful. Cool. I like to hear that's like your first experimentation of these topics. So it sounds like it's also a new leadership edge for you, would you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. I mean, I guess we're also gonna dig into like how we got to come up with this idea, also because I'm not doing this alone, of course. And then it also makes a little bit more sense how this evolved, and also why I'm so passionate about it.
Nice. Yeah. Do you want to talk a bit about who you're collaborating with and what you're doing? Because it starts at the end of January, so you haven't started it yet. But what have you got in mind?
Yeah, so basically it's a project from myself and my partner, and we're organizing it together. And to put it very short, it's like it rose around a bit, it grew out of conversations we started maybe like 1.5 years ago with a group kind of like emerged here in Javia in Spain. And generally, because there are a few of us around here, we talked about community living, about how you want to live in the future. And there were a few of us who were like interested in the topic and really saw ourselves in these kind of settings. So then we experimented, stayed together in the house as well, a few of us, and then we started conversations. So really bringing together, okay, what would it mean? What kind of structures are out there? We also visited projects in Spain to get inspired. And then, actually last year also, I think around summer, we sort of realized, okay, there are actually different needs, sort of, from what this project would look like if it would be one in the future. So it was a very interesting topic, process of already finding out, okay, there are maybe subgroups, different needs, and also, of course, our lives developed. One part of this was also the need for experimentation for experiencing, to say again, okay, let's actually rent a house for a month and see what it feels like, talk about it further, and actually basically my partner and I took it on. We were like, okay, no, we have to really make it work. So that's when, end of last year, we decided to just do it. We checked options, organized it, and that's basically how it evolved. Yeah.
Mm, beautiful. Yeah, it sort of feels like, it sounds like a series of smaller experiments have led to a bit more clarity about what you really want it to be. Like, I hear you didn't just immediately go like, oh, we haven't done this before, let's just jump in. 'Cause it is quite a significant thing to hold a 1 month long residential container. So yeah, that's interesting to hear you had some iterations to help you really clarify what you do and what you don't want together. Was that a hard process in the group, or was it sort of, how did you manage to like, yeah, acknowledge, oh, we want different things?
Mm. Um, that's a very difficult question to answer. I feel like, yes, it
Mm,
was very hard because we also, I mean, we are all friends, sort of. And
mm,
but also a few of us were like the first ones gathering, and then we invited more into the group, and we had, let's say, every 3 weeks, we had a call, we switched facilitation, and we always brought a topic and an intention. And
mm,
then there were also some, I don't know, the question was if it was difficult, no? So generally, I would
mm,
say yes, because basically, when we were at this point of actually, it was a very nice session where we had a sliding scale of how much do I want to live with friends versus I want to have a vision-based, let's say, big project. So we
yeah.
put ourselves on these sliding scales. How would be the outlook, like time-wise? Is it next
Hmm.
year? Is it in 5 years, in 10 years, or whatever? Like,
Hmm.
what are my blockers right now?
Hmm.
So I guess seeing this sort of made it very real in a sense. And then it was also very hard sometimes to keep up the motivation and also um, the momentum, because then we realized, okay, how do we actually then take this group? And also then it was one thing we did not do very well, I feel like, is then also to acknowledge the different needs and also to really see, okay, how are we then taking those different needs and how do we move forward? So right now it's a little bit paused in a way
Mm,
because we had this process and then we also had winter breaks, summer breaks and stuff. And then now
yeah.
it's going to be this pop-up. And then I guess now I feel like, let's see how it goes and how we move forward then.
Interesting. Yeah. There's like a lot of like moments of humility and surrender to like, we thought we were going that way and then okay, change, okay. Yeah. But also cool to hear you, like, I'm hearing some micro solidarity principles in there around like, start off with a small group, do some experiments, rotate facilitation, take some time to get to know each other before jumping into like don't get married until you dated kind of thing. um yeah, was there any other um maybe we can talk about like what you have ended up doing. Is there any way that micro solidarity has like inspired how you've prepared for this iteration then? Yeah.
Mm. You mean for this iteration that's coming now, right? How we prepare for
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. Very good question. Definitely, I would say the crewing program helped a lot. I mean, not only for like the lots of like seeing the ways of hosting, but also the resources. And
Mhm,
I also have to say that I listened, like I said, to a couple of podcasts, and I also heard about this community master board, you call it, right?
mhm. Yeah,
Mastery board. Yeah.
community
So
mastery
I'm
board,
also
yeah.
seeing like maybe this could be something we could actually try and see.
Mm,
Because I really feel like it's not so much. I mean, my partner and I, we're gonna somehow bring the space, hold the space, but also we really want this to be a co-creation and be very much exploring this kind of topics. We really feel like I connected to community living. Um,
mhm,
so we want to prepare some things and like make proposals, but then really also to test. And then, as you guys are also always saying, like the retro, no, like also
yeah.
setting a time and then seeing, okay, how do we feel? What do we want to change? What is the feedback? So these kind of
Mm,
things. Um,
mm,
yes, that's what comes
totally.
to mind. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, here at our residential space here, we're also using the community mastery board, and we've been here now since 28th of December, so like we're just over 2 weeks. And I've really found that putting that board up there allows the group to raise tensions and make iterations and like name possibilities that we haven't noticed yet for the space. And it's allowed us to feel like we can lean back a little bit, because actually holding a space for 2 whole months here, I think your project's 1 month, it's quite a while to just be like the lead of like, we have to think about everything every day about what's working and what's not working well. And it's really nice to be able to bring others in, and also I think gives people a sense of agency. That's what I've noticed. Like people are feeling, oh, I can contribute something here. Someone said to me yesterday, oh, it feels like easy and fun to be able to contribute and to help out. And I think that was like, oh, that's really great to hear. I like it that it's easy and fun to just jump in and bring something to the table. Nice. Yeah. Cool. Are there, I mean, maybe you want to also share like what's the kind of scale and size of your project, and like what kind of, are you like remote? What's the context, and how many people, who are you inviting?
So we are quite a small group, also compared to your group, I think. So the house would hold, let's say, around until 7, 8-ish people. Right now we're 5. We're still seeing if we have some last minute signups,
So
people
there's
to
still
join.
space if anyone's interested.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes. And yes, so basically it's in the mountains, it's near Ronda, and it's in a super small village. I don't know if I would say remote, somehow yes, but it's also only, let's say, half an hour from Ronda. But I think it feels very remote and very, we've never been, but from the pictures, conversations we had with them, and also to check beforehand, it looks like it's very calm as well, and also from all the reviews what we saw. So first we checked, of course, for the context I explained, with our group to see who's available and who would like to come. And then we basically extended slowly further and further to also open it up. For us, it was very important to always mention the intention of having this exploring community as a concept. To always mention it because we really want to have a focus on this one. And also because it's not like I mean, we named it notacoliving also because I don't know how you feel, because I feel like these terms of co-living and eco-village, collectives, communities, intentional communities, there are a lot of labels out there, and I still feel like I really struggle a lot. I don't really identify with any of these 100%. And so it feels like also an exploration of, in a way of like, okay, how do I want to live? But then also what kind of labels would fit, or are we creating our own label? Like, where are we on these sliding scales? Because we had these conversations also as well, like where do we place ourselves? And we don't really have an answer yet. So I feel like this could also be a nice thing to explore and to think about, really.
Yeah, cool. So like if you're testing a certain like hypothesis with this project, is it, what would you say that is?
Maybe even several ones. The one is the general thing of how do I like it, or how do we like it, my partner and I? How is our experiences? How is our experience holding the space, but also bringing those together and then see how do we like it? What is our experience and feelings in this month? And then also for those who are coming, again, the question of, could I live with you? Like, are we a match? How do we actually feel in everyday life? What kind of topics might come up? What kind of topics might come up on the personal level and also on the collective level? And how do we have capacity to handle those?
Beautiful. Yeah. I really respect that, especially this concept of like pop-up experiments like this, because you don't know until you've tried, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's a lot to live together with someone who you've never lived with, and yeah, I feel that's been really important journey for me also. Like I haven't also just suddenly run a 2-month experiment here. Done a lot of pop-up things as well, from like weekends with friends to 2 weeks in Portugal, or I also did 2 months in Ireland during COVID, and they've all taught me so much. And sometimes there was heartbreak of like, oh, I was really hoping it would be these people, or I was really hoping this would be the place, or I was really hoping that this would be what I want, and then realizing actually no, it's too remote, or actually no, I want more of my own space, or actually no, I want people who are into this, and actually people want something different from this group. So yeah, I
Mhm.
valued that a lot. Um,
It
yeah.
makes a lot of sense, like to hear all your different kind of learnings. So did you also then explore, was it in a similar setup in most of these pop-ups, or did you also change how you, I don't know, how you defined your role, I guess, or how
Mm,
you organized the group and the setup?
mm. Yeah, interesting question. Um, there've been quite different setups. Like a few of them I've just been invited into. Like actually, I was part of a 6-month residential project in Berlin, in 2023, together with some people who are actually here now, who I became very good friends with. So we enjoyed continuing the journey. Um, and that was like hosted by 2 people, and there's actually like an organization that was like running the space, and the 2 people, Sen and Ilya, are friends, who are hosting this project through the Life Itself hub in Berlin. And that was like, it was, I had, we kind of gave each other some roles. We sort of shared roles and switched roles around, like cooking roles, of course, but also more like some people felt inspired to set up some kind of like pod or crewing system within the hub. There were 10 of us, and some people were interested in bringing in more like political awarenesses into the space, but they weren't like intentional, like strongly intended roles. They were more like, oh, I'm following my
Mhm.
enthusiasm, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then there have been most of my experiments have been more co-created, and this is the first one where I've really been like, actually I have a theme, and there's 4 of us holding the space, and we're calling it the Incubator because we really want to explore a particular topic together. It's actually the first one where, or one of the few that I've created that have not been necessarily about, oh, maybe we'll live together afterwards. It's more,
Mhm.
hey, are we going to come here for peer support and really drop into this yin receptivity and deep listening in the winter of the Northern Hemisphere? It's not very wintry looking here. I mean, like, I'll show you, it's more like sunny Spain. But, you know,
Yeah,
um,
but you're wearing a coat.
yeah,
It looks, it's still
it's
a
quite
bit
cold.
chilly.
Yeah, it's still quite chilly. I'm still allowing myself to feel that, and like, okay, we're having some nice times by the fireplace in the evening. So yeah, still feeling that together. Um, yeah, and then this, I have a much stronger, clearer role for myself here now, which is like a host. I feel a bit similar to you there, which is why I wanted to reach out. You know, okay, how do we hold the space, and sort of we're the ones who've invited people in, and although we're creating a bit of a co-created space, but there's also a clear hierarchy of, we're the ones who've made the invitations, we're the one who've set the budget, we're the ones who organize a shopping list, because we're quite remote. We have to go 35 minutes to Loja, the nearest town, to get groceries, and we just buy everything, and people can come along to help out with the shopping, but we're sort of organizing that. And we're somewhat like, we're adopting this posture of setting a container clearly, the invitation, but also leaning back in our leadership and allowing the space to be filled by what people bring. So maybe they have a
Mm.
workshop they want to lead. Maybe they want to invite someone to do a hit workout. Maybe they want to, um, uh, yeah, just have a solo journey for a few days and be a bit hermit. You know, that's all welcome. And more stepping in just when we sense that the boundary is getting a bit confusing, or there's ambiguity and people are not finding their way, um, helping on that way. So it's a bit of a different. It's, I definitely feel like more responsibility on my shoulders for this one.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's nice to have companionship. Yeah, for this.
Mm.
But I'm running a coaching group coming up at the end of January called In Good Company, which is exactly for people in a leadership position, because it can feel a bit lonely, or it's nice to have people to relate to who are going through a similar experience. You can't always share everything with all participants, or yeah, sometimes it's just difficult for people to see how you're having a different experience to other people in the group. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. You probably. I'm curious about you as well. Have you led similar? Have you been in a similar position where you're leading a container like this, or you said this is kind of a first time you're in this role? How do you feel about being the leader actually? And do you have support for it from your partner or outside? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely have the support, and I also, like I said, see ourselves as this tandem leadership. And generally, it's a very interesting question because I think last year also when we had this group, which I would say this group never really had a leader. And actually myself and one other friend, we started initiating these conversations, and then from this initiation, it basically started and rolled. But then last year, this topic came up for me personally of being a leader, and I really had this need and also urge and curiosity to explore this topic and to actually lean more into it. Generally, I co-founded, for example, an NGO in Germany, and we have a super small team, and I really enjoy it. I really like having a team, and I really like to lead as well. I hope you don't hear the noise too loud in the background.
Don't
Okay,
hear
good.
anything. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I really like, I mean, in my work, I already can say I really like leading or setting intentions, bringing a team also work-wise, project-wise. That's also how I'm working in like these educational projects, always in like a team setup, so to say. And I guess for now, I'm bringing this experience and the experience of like leading groups in like this, I don't know, 1 week educational training, for example. Yes, and this would be now a different kind of lens, I guess, and different role to step into. But I'm really curious about it.
Cool. What do you expect to be new and different for you in this way?
Mm. I mean, on the one hand, I guess it's the length of having this 1 month that's different, and then also it's this 1 month. It's in person, and we also bring our personal and collective topics, I guess, and I'm curious also for myself to put boundaries or like to define very clearly what I want to bring, what I can bring, and also where I would like all of us to come together. This co-creation, what we talked about also. So yeah, because I know maybe very personally said, I know for myself that my tendency would be to take on responsibility, and I don't want to, I mean, I need to be aware. And that's also why it's very important to not be alone, to be aware of like, okay, when do I actually where do I feel too much responsible for things where I shouldn't feel responsible?
Yeah, that's a big one. I
Yes,
feel you there.
similar? Okay.
Yeah, I'm literally struggling with that. In fact, today one of my collaborators was like, Josie, don't you think sometimes you take on quite a lot? I was like, actually, if I was on my own, I wouldn't get that reflection. And sometimes I do wonder, do I take on more than other people would usually, or is this normal? So I really valued having someone else on my team to be like, kind of reflect back to me. Like she might also not be, um, it might not be true that I'm taking on too much, but just to have someone asking me like, hey, maybe you are, and like it helps me to pause and reflect. I did actually decide, yeah, I think I'll do a bit less. Like I don't have to take on yeah, there are a lot of things I want to be doing in this container, besides also hosting. And so I've also been running more IFS sessions. I like to give internal family system sessions and taken on a few more clients because I'm enjoying it so much. And I like giving these bodywork sessions, but they're like really long. And so I did like 2, and I thought maybe just 1 a week is fine. So yeah, and alongside holding the container, which I need to just acknowledge to myself that that's kind of a job that's hard to like put down. It's more like a constant awareness, and that takes energy, and that's okay. It's okay if maybe I don't contribute in exactly the same way as everyone else as well. Like I was feeling like, oh, I should be doing more cooking, but or I should be doing more cleaning, but other people seem to be enjoying doing that. And it's important to also not get too stuck in this idea of what's fair, like everyone has to do exactly the same thing. Yeah, like
Yeah.
acknowledging I'm taking on this energetic, psychological work as well, of holding the space in which my other three co-hosts are here as well, which is another thing for me to be like, there are three other people holding this with you. You don't have to hold every single thing all the time. You must take a break sometimes. Another challenge that I'm leaning into at the moment that's really revealing itself to me the last couple of days here. To lean into, I don't have to do this alone. Yeah, I forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it resonates a lot. Yeah. Sounds like already some really, I don't know, strong experiences and big learnings for you. And it really sounds very nice to, like you said, to be able to have this mirror and to also be able to then see these patterns. And I can relate a lot to like this maybe even false sense of fairness, to always
Yeah.
see like always everybody doing the same. And then yeah, I guess it's also a challenge to bring awareness to these different types of work and contributions we might bring to these kind of
Yeah.
containers, and then as also to, yeah, to value them, and then be aware of like how it's distributed, and then see how everybody feels with the
Mm.
distribution, and if it's okay. Okay. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I quite like about this. We have a little Kanban board, which is, we have the community mastery board for raise intentions, also a Kanban board of like, what are the tasks? Which of those tasks need to be done? Which ones are being done in the doing column, and which ones are in the have been done? And every evening after dinner, we celebrate what's been done and try and create a moment to acknowledge what everyone's like contributed. And yet I realized that it's still quite limited to the very practical tasks like cooking, cleaning, picking people up, shopping, fixing the Wi-Fi, which are all really valuable. And I just, as you're saying this, I'm like, I wonder about all the other things that people are doing that are contributing to the space, like valuing and acknowledging how someone's noticed that someone's been a bit, withdrawn, and they've gone to check on them in their room, and like, or they've sat with them, or invited someone for a walk who seemed to be struggling with a task or a bit of a roadblock with their project or something. Like, all those things add up to the container just as much as who cleans and who cooks. So yeah, we actually started doing a little gratitude round after dinner because of that. It was optional, but actually one of the participants, one of the guests here, raised that as something we could try, and it really stuck. And I'm really grateful they mentioned it, that we don't just get stuck on the really visible things that have happened. So we have a moment to really digest all the ways in which we've been supported or appreciated in interaction during the day. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I can imagine this also really helps to strengthen like all the bonds, no? Like to actually strengthen the group as well, to actually hear these appreciation moments. Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
definitely. We always start our meetings with appreciations as well.
Nice. So you look at the Kanban board every day after dinner and the mastery board as well, or just once a week at the mastery
So far, we've been doing both of them every day after dinner,
board?
because we've had a small enough group. Like, we started off with 8. Now we're getting bigger. Now we have 14 people since yesterday, and we're just considering maybe adjusting it. So we already started doing, there's like the tests that we've been putting into place. We don't look at them every day. We look at them every other day, so it doesn't take so long. But now we've got more people. We might even look again at what rhythm do we use the community mastery board for. Like, maybe it's every 2 days. Yeah, we got to have a little navigation talk about that today, actually. Yeah. 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 We've got quite a shifting container here because people come and go, which is something new for me as well. And the transitions are, I find transitions are usually like the most vulnerable points. Like, of course, arriving and departing, or starting and ending a project, but also I ran a residency with 3 other friends in France at the Life Itself Hub in, I think it was 2022. And we had 3 months, and it was like one group started at the beginning of the first month, and they had 1 week of training, and then 3 weeks of integrating those skills. But there was like a leadership shift in that between the training week and the residential week. And I found that quite challenging. We found it quite challenging to navigate, like, okay, now we are no longer like trainers, now we're co-residents with you, but we're still kind of holding the container and creating the minimal viable structures. And some people found that like they really took to it like a fish in the water, and others were like, whoa, what is this shift? Like, is there a leadership void or so? And I think I realized then that, okay, that transition was maybe too big, and I would actually separate the two things. Like, okay, week of training, who wants to now apply to join us for a 3-week residential thing, and separate that. So that was a big learning for me around transitions in that project. And also at the end of each month, there was most people left and new people came. Some people stayed for the whole 3 months, and that was like, okay. And I could feel it also in this group when new people come and some people leave. It's like, okay, it's extra psychological impact here, and tried to create a few rituals and structures to make that flow easier. Like, people arrive on Mondays and depart on Mondays to try and have less disruption. And on Tuesdays, we have an attunement circle, just like attuning to the new constellation in the group, where we remember the intention for being here. People share their intentions, have some dyad or triad sharings, and then a full group share. And on Sunday, before new people come and maybe some people leave, we do a big whiz bang, which is like a big cleanup. We clean the house for like half an hour with lots of good music, and then we have a little we call it just the death ritual, which is releasing the week from the past and clearing the space for new people to arrive. And we have a little altar space in the garden where new people can bring an object and place it on there, and we just remember our intentions again. And we see everyone who's been puts an object there, so we can also see the build up of people who have already been. And when people leave, it's like, oh yeah, people have been here before, and we're adding to this energy. It creates a kind of a continuous thread in a sort of visual ritual way, which I haven't used ritual so much in my experiments, but I actually really enjoy weaving that in.
Yeah, sounds really interesting. I'm definitely going to take some more notes of the conversation and feel like things I can note down and see what do I want to
Cool.
test.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, such an opportunity to try things out.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. Is there anything else coming up for you that you're like, around your project, or that you want to share about, questions you're sitting with, or
Mm. I think I just want to also connect to what you have been saying in a way of, for example, in this container, do you also, because you were mentioning the transitions, that's what I thought might be also very challenging to have, let's say, like for you, you have this full 2 months, and then you also have different phases. Do you also have, for example, I don't know, like let's say like a more a facilitated or workshop kind of phase within these 2 months? And then how do you manage, I don't know, the transitions, your energy, if you have to like switch a little bit your role? How does that go?
We were considering that. We don't have any moments where we're like having a continuous facilitation here from the hosting team. We were thinking like maybe we could do 1 week where it's more of a professional offering, or we're really like it's even more towards like retreat mode. But we decided against it so that we wouldn't have to switch modes, because we kind of preempted that would feel, for us in the winter, not really what we're going for. Because we were trying to also really tune into what would be nourishing for us in this container, especially given we're going to be here for 2 months. And so we wanted to hold it more loosely and more co-created than that. So the only phase shift we had was what's just happened is we had 2 weeks of what we call deep reset, which was really not like project phase, but just rejuvenation, take care of your body, do some nice practices together like qigong or yoga, or going in. There's a swimming pool and it's like really cold, so go in the cold plunge or go for walks. And we did a lot of journaling over New Year's together and sharing our reflections. So it was like that. And then just today we've started the 6 weeks of what we call the yin combinator, which is a bit of a riff of this program in the US called the Y Combinator for business startups and business acceleration. It's like, rather than business acceleration, it's about people acceleration. So now, but it's not about us giving workshops. It's about anyone who wants to come and bring a workshop can do so. And I've already heard quite a few people are interested in doing that. Someone wants to run a workshop on using Twitter for making yourself more visible with what you're doing or making friends. Someone's wanting to run a workshop on using Notion for your project planning and like weekly review. Other people, someone's going to help me look at how to use CapCut for video editing and stuff like that. So that's all very self-created by everyone who's here. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Really cool. And then also, because I'm also still thinking, I guess what we try to bring is also then again, just like questions, ideas, and formats, and then we can see who wants to fill in and bring what they want to bring. And we had, for example, I'm also curious, ideas from yourself, some questions. Okay, I'm back. Some questions that I feel like might fit, or that you feel like, oh, this would be inspiring also to bring. For example, we thought about, again, talking about this connection or also tension between the individual and collective needs, to talk about what is home, to have sharing around, like actually go into dreaming mode and dreaming about, okay, what would I dream about my life? How would it look like? What do I envision? And then as well, I think I also heard this from you somewhere, like this, take the smorgasbord and then think about, okay, what kind of elements would I see for myself to be included? How would I manage these in my perfect setup? And what would this look like? That's what we thought of now, but maybe also you have some things coming up or things that you feel like in the containers you've been, or questions that even you explored yourself related to these topics.
First of all, I think those are great questions because it sounds like they really relate to the intention of your container. So yeah, that sounds really great already. I'd forgotten that I mentioned the relationship anarchy smorgasbord to you before, and I was thinking about that when earlier in this conversation you were talking about what the different people in your group wanted from community, and that I think that's a super conversation to have. What are you looking for? What are your like your must-haves, and what are your no-goes, things like that. I've done this before in a 2-week pop-up community in Portugal a while ago, where it was maybe similar to your intention. We were like, do we want to live together, and what does living together look like for us? What do we long for? And we drew on a big piece of paper, like a long scroll, some spectrums, and everyone could like put their initials, like where they are on the spectrum. Like, I want it to be just family friendly and like family and friends, and someone like, I want this to be more public facing and more like retreat and a bit more like business. I want to be really like urban, or I want to be rural. And of course, people, you never really know, but it's just interesting to start conversations with that. Other questions, nothing particular comes to mind besides what you've already shared. I guess in our place here, though, we have noticed like there are always themes that come up from the world. Like the world will come into the container, and the more we can allow it to be okay to talk about those things, the easier it goes, even though there might not be answers. So we had a big question here because we were creating the Yincubator. Of course, is a question of what's yin and what's yang, and how does that relate to feminine, masculine, men and women. And it really came up as a bit of like a pressure, tension for one moment, and then we opened it up to talk about it as a circle, and that was really interesting. So I don't know if that's a question that is necessarily the right question or a really good one to put into every container, but it was right in the moment because it was what was under the surface. It needed to be broached together. But I like what, in Tamara, they say there's 4 things that communities face challenges with, and one's like power, sex, love, and money. So I think like especially the money one, when you're creating a community, it's also interesting talking about money and how do you feel about sharing money, and what comes up for you around shared finance? How do you build enough trust?
Mhm.
Or what do you need to share money with you? Is it trust? Is it experience? Those are also interesting questions. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, totally. I
Mm,
like the additions you made topic-wise, but also what you just said of like actually seeing. I think that's really, really nice if you have things in the group come up and then you actually
mhm.
give space to them to be brought up, to discussed and shared. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's such a valuable skill. Oh, I'm not sure if you can still hear me. One thing about being in the hills is the internet's not so great.
I can hear you
Hear
though.
me? Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah, cool. Great. What was I saying? Oh yeah, just making things able to be talked about. I think I my background's also in like conflict. I think yours as well. We both have this background as mediators and conflict transformation. So I
Yeah.
imagine you have a similar sense of like it's not about being able to fix a topic necessarily, but it's about being able to talk about it well and having conversations well. So I think it's so valuable having someone like you in the group who can like navigate like, oh, tension. We don't have to freak out. Let's
Yeah.
have a conversation. So good. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Very helpful.
yeah. Do you already have a plan around or some thoughts around how you'll create a culture of navigating conflict and tension in the group? We haven't really addressed that specifically here yet, but it's coming up a bit.
Yeah. Good question. I haven't thought about it very specifically. I mean, I would imagine to have a space. Again, I'm really looking forward to test the sport, for example, because then I can imagine if there are generally tensions
Mm,
in the group who might come up, maybe they would also be put there. Um, and then also to have check-in moments, I would assume, and then to be able to address or like to follow up on whatever comes up in these check-in moments to give
mhm,
those space. That's what I would say. Also, we're not a big group. That's why I guess it
true.
makes it a little bit easier, I would imagine.
Very true.
Yeah. Or do
Yeah.
you have thoughts on your experience maybe or how you're handling it?
Mm. Yeah, the group size here is sort of in between. That's why I haven't like addressed it directly, but I'm more holding it as like when things come up, I'm using my leadership capacity to nudge people to have conversations with each other rather before we have it as a big group process. Because just
Mhm.
holding in my awareness of group process is hard to coordinate everyone to come together, and it's like valuable time. Um, and let's keep that for when we really need it, rather
Mhm.
than exhausting everyone with trying to address tensions that don't affect everybody in a whole group.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm more doing it from behind rather than saying this is the framework we're going to use. Though I did
Mhm.
mention at the beginning, I just reminded people. The thing is, we've invited a lot of people who we already know, and we have some degree of like knowing that they're quite good at taking responsibility for themselves and naming tensions when they're there. So that's also a factor in why I haven't been super like direct about coming in more with more structure around tensions. If I didn't know the group so well, and if it was larger, I would probably introduce some kind of like conflict transformation protocol of like, hey, first self-regulate, go for a walk. If it doesn't work, talk to someone who in the group would be
Mhm.
available and likes to listen. And if that's not working, who can mediate? And if that's not working, we could do group process just to highlight a bit of a pathway. Yeah, there's sort of a
Yeah.
yeah, managing it
Yeah,
more
makes sense.
emergently so far. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, makes sense. I think I imagine it similar for us, also
Mm.
because similar to what you said, we know them, like our friends and
Yeah.
people who are coming as well. And then, yeah, normally you would maybe bring more structure or more like look for like a joint group agreement in the beginning and these kind of things. So I
Yeah.
guess, yes, yeah, makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. Nice.
Yeah. Sweet. Ah, yeah. I enjoy talking about these nuances with you. Like, yeah, it depends on the group size. It depends how well you know the group. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Cool. Well, maybe we can start to wrap it up. But yeah, I first want to just check, is there anything else you want to share? Yeah, or any invitation you have. You said there's a few more spaces still. Yeah, anything you want to bring up?
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, if there's anyone super spontaneous who wants to join us, definitely. on the link, because we would like to have conversations with everyone who wants to come first. That makes a lot of sense if we don't know you yet. And generally, yeah, I'm just very grateful for this conversation and for this connection, and to be able to explore and to really emphasize this learning moment as well. And I think it's really nice to share experiences and to share thoughts on this, because I feel like we're all on this journey, and we need a lot more spaces where we can actually connect, be inspired, and also to recharge, I guess, and to draw energy from together for a lot of things that are happening in this world, and maybe also in our personal lives. So yes, I feel like that's also why I said I feel so grateful and so passionate about these topics, to be able to create these connections and understanding, to create more of this capacity for listening and connection everywhere. Yeah.
Beautiful. So nice to you say that, like a fellow sister on the path.
Yes.
Thank you, Kathrin. Yeah, so nice. And if people want to reach out to you, I guess I can put your website under the, like, down below here. Is there any other
Yes.
way that people can reach out to you, like any platform that you prefer?
I mean, I'm generally available on Instagram, LinkedIn. Maybe those, like, that's where I'm posting some things also related to the topic, and then my website. Yeah, I think those are the main ones.
Cool. I'll add them as well below. Super. Well, thanks so much again. It's been really great to chat, and also inspiring for me. And yeah, really just appreciate the companionship. Just as you said, we need more of these kind of spaces, and it takes courage to experiment like this. And I'm really happy to know it's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jocelyn. It was so nice.
Yeah, my pleasure. Bye for now.
Ciao.